Namaskar. Today we are with Sri Madhav Chandra Adhikari, HUD of History Department of this Panchanabharma University. He is a prolific writer and researcher of Rajbonshi identity, to be specific, and he has contributed towards imagining and writing history of the sub-Himalayan region, which is called North Bengal and its vicinity. And now today the specific purpose we are visiting him is also that there is a questions coming up, propping up, question of Rajbonshi identity, and some days later we had the birthday of Rai Sahib Panchanar Burma, and some days ago we have also celebrated the birthday of Bir Mahavir Chilarai. So the Rajbonshi question and all the historical complexities and its contours, its narrative is coming up, popping up. So we as a student of culture, we as a student of history and literature, will try to explore this field. And there is no other better person better than him, because he is not only belonging to the community, but also he has prolifically written, researched, and also researching and also inspiring his students to write of this land and its history. So, welcome, sir.
Okay,
Now, can you introduce yourself for some time to our audience?
I am Dr. Madhav Chandra Adhikari, Professor, Department of History, and also Head of the Department, and also I am holding the post of Dean of Arts, Kujbihar Panchanabharma University, and also associated with the Rajbonshi Certificate Course Language Coordinator, and also the coordinator of Hawaiia Center of Kujbihar Panchanabharma University. I also associated with the coordinator of the evening shift of Department of History of Kujbihar Panchanabharma University. And we are also time to time associate the different affairs of the university, as well as the cultural and different committees, also different
The day-to-day
day-to-day
administration.
administration had been assigned to me. I also obedient and also perform all these duties that had been assigned to me.
Okay. Now the specific purpose for which we are here. Lord, let's get started. So before we start, I must clarify it to my audience. Our main motive, our only motive is academics. So we may touch controversy, but it is not to preach any controversy. So we are here to know our audience and what is the history of what is happening all around us. So we are neither supporting anyone, neither accepting, neither denying. We are the most neutral, because our attempt is to academically understand those questions which we are going to ask and explore. So, Professor, the first question which comes to my mind, being a permanent resident of this land, of this country, to be precise, of this region. So now the question of identity formation. Here, for some time, last 30 or 20 years, many questions of identity and its formation is coming. Earlier, there was a violent movement concerning this so-called representative of this land, those called Bhumiputra, and earlier it was a violent KLO, KPP, all those sort of movement. Sometimes it's non-violent, sometimes violent. But now that is not a mode of inquiry, and I would skip that thing. Now, the main question always been, it's not that it's new, it's because it dates back to the colonial era when these categorizations started taking place. Now, if I have to question you about identity, so historically, culturally, socially, anthropologically, who are these Rajbonshis? Who are to be called Rajbonshis?
Yes, this is a pertinent question. Today's but very recently a question has been arised among the peoples that who are the Rajbonshis, who are the Koch
Coach
Rajbonshis.
Rajbonshi, yes.
These are the questions have been surrounding and surrounding among us, and particularly the peoples of this Kuch Bihar and people of the Northeast India particularly. So, define this identity of the Rajbanshis, um, we have to find out there are three stream of writings. The first, British colonial historiographers, the Bengali historians, and the Rajbanshis, the indigenous historians, those who are writing the history of Rajbanshis and the belongs to the history Rajbanshi culture, Rajbanshis communities. So, as well as we have found that the British historians, those W. Hunter, H.S. Risley, and so many others, they had been explored that the Rajbanshis are the mixed culture, the Austro-Mongolian culture. Some of them they had explained that they are the Austro-Mongolian culture, and some of them had explained that they are the mixture of Dravidian culture also. Whereas in the Bengali historians, those who have written the Bengali historians, they have said that the Rajbanshis are the belongs to the Koches, Koch Rajbanshis, and they have said that there is a Mongolian mixture of features are there. And apart from these two historiographers, the indigenous historiographers, they have explored that. They have written many documents are there. The Rajbanshis, these people, those who are the called Koch Rajbanshis or the Rajbanshis, the indigenous peoples or writers, they have said that they are the Rajbanshis, and there is a long history. Uh, During this 10th century, these people who had come from the northeast part of India and come to the Assam and the northeastern part of the Kuch Bihar and also these places, they are settled here. And along with these peoples, there are many tribal peoples such as Koch, Mech, Rava, etc., etc. They had come here, and settling here, they are actually forgotten their original culture, and they mixed with the peoples or tribes, those are surrounding here, settling here, and they are inhabiting here, and they also originally they have forgotten their original culture, and they habituated the habituated local peoples, and the indigenous writers or also the as well as the social reformers like Panchanath Verma, he had taken a myth, and it is general of practice that in any social reformers, when they have contributed their role in the society, they have taken a myth, and the Rajbangshi society also taken a myth. In this myth, says that the Rajbangshi people are the original inhabitant of these areas, and they are the Kshatriyas from the very ancient time, and they are taking the myth that the Poshuram, we have known as the Poshuram who are the destroyer of the Kshatriya society, and in fear of the Kshatriya Poshurams, they had fled from their original lands and settled here. These their pit, Joni pit, Kam pit, Sati pit, Ratna pit, and these areas they had been inhabited here, and they actually forgotten their original culture and also habited with these local cultures and become very like the inferior, so called
Socially,
the
socially inferior.
socially inferior. They had forgotten their original custom, culture, etc., etc. And um, from this point of view, the local peoples, those who have called these Rajbanshis are the coaches, uh, they explain that they are the inhabitant of the Mongolian group of peoples and also the belongs to the coast. Why? They are the inhabiting, they are practicing such kind of courses. cause or etc. mess culturally. But actually, what happened? If we forget the myth, we know that from the Gupta era or the historians era when the history has begun, these peoples were originally belonged to this land. We know this Nanda Mahapadananda who had destroyed these Kshatriyas also, and uh, apart from this myth, we know the Mahapadananda, the historian figures, these Nanda dynasties. From this, in fear of these Nanda dynasties, and these people also fled from these original places and settled in these areas. And actually, there became habituating such kind of inferior customer
Practices.
cultures. Yes. And what happened then? In the colonial historiographers, they had explained that the Rajbonshis are in the Mongolian groups, and some of them they are some Australian mixed up blood here. They are Proto-Australian groups, and from this point of view, the Bengali historians they had actually called the Rajbonshis as the Kos Rajbonshis.
The bracketed phrase.
Yes, they are yes Kos Rajbonshis. But Panchanan Burma had actually tried to establish from these historical evidences in the 19th century that the Rajbonshis were the Kshatriya belonged. They were
Bratta
the
Kshatriya.
Kshatriyas. They are Batta Kshatriyas. Batta Kshatriyas in this sense, they are forgetting their original culture and whatever maybe the practices, religious practice, etc., etc. That is why I call they are Bactors. And at that time, the Bengali, so-called Bengali, the caste Hindus, um, they had actually insulted the Rajbonshis people. They are called, the Rajbonshis are the Achalachal, they are the Antojas, sometimes they are called Chandals, etc. Those who are not they are permitted to enter the temple or etc. etc. This kind. So from this point of view, Panchanan Mama when started the Reformation movement, he said that he also himself was insulted by a caste Hindu Maitro Brahmin in the Rangpur court.
Rangpur court. He was thrown out of that court.
That he had used the toga, and when he tried to return this toga to the Maitro has said that I had had the toga used by the Rajbonshis. Apart from this, there is a normal school of Rangpur when some boys of the Rajbonshi boys entered the kitchen and asked the Thakurs, the cook, whether the cook is not ready or not. Then the Barno Hindu students, those has claimed that we do not eat the cook that had been rice or so-called bhat, we call it.
Okay.
We will not take this rice to
Okay,
that
that
day.
means that there's a sense of untouchability
Yeah,
attached to
untouchability.
it, right?
Yes.
So, okay,
They have said these are the untouchable, the Rajbonshi. Why the Rajbonshi people, the students had entered the coup? Then it was thrown, the rice was thrown and was eaten by the cows, etc. From this insulting point of view, Rajbonshis, the Panchanan Brahma want to revive their prestige of Kshatriyas. So he tried to
Okay, sir,
collect it.
I am stopping
Yes.
you for some time because we will come to that point
Yes.
details. So, for you, okay, but as a researcher, you have studied these different groups of historians, saying, what is your ultimate, not judgment, because in history, final judgment is not
Yes.
possible. What is your understanding of these Rajbonshi people?
Yeah.
How they should be identified, because
Yes,
there
yes.
is also internal diversity. As some days back at Assam, there is a confusion confusion of this identity, because there is a bracketing with coach. Some Rajbonshi people said we don't belong to the coach category, and there is also, as I interviewed the Proshun Rai Barman, as a Guwahati Cotton University professor, he said there is a perpetual problem. The problem. Okay, I am also stopping for some time because we need to introduce that topic on which we are going to ponder. Now, sir, now in present situation, can you share with us where these the Rajbonshi people are spread across, in case of country, or in case of region, or in case of, what can I say, states within the boundaries of India and outside it?
Actually,
What
know
is the
that.
number of, actually, can you count the number, 1 crore, 3 crore, 4 crore, that people belonging to this community, including those in Bangladesh, those in Nepal, those in Bhutan, those in Assam, and including within the periphery of this India?
Now at present it is not possible to give you the accurate figures.
But tentative?
Accurate, but if we learn the 1971 or 81 census report, it will be categorically mentioned that there are more than uh, 3 or 5 crores people are belongs to the Rajbonshi people around this India, around
Around
this
in
India,
India.
and in India. Apart from India, in Bangladesh also there are some of peoples, and Nepal also there are some
So
peoples,
it's
and
more,
Meghalaya some of the peoples are
so
there. So
around 5 crore?
yes, no doubt.
Tentatively.
Yes, tentatively. Yes, I am tentatively.
Tentatively is 5 crores.
Yes.
Now, there is a question. Thus, let's get reintroduce the problem also. Though thou, can we say that they, in the bracket of our Rajbonshi identity, there are many others group who may not be identified as Rajbonshi, but still culturally, socially, they can call themselves Rajbonshi. In case
Yes.
of there is a debate of coach, as I search Wikipedia, I found that only 300 people belonging to the coach community. Okay, can we differentiate a coach anthropologically, at least, if not historically, a coach from a Rajbonshi?
It is, so it is a debatable question. So let me come to this point. When Panchanath Burma started the social reformation movement,
Yes.
reviving the Kshatriya status, and appeal all the peoples that time, all the peoples to come with the Kshatriyization movement. And then what happened there? Uh, as it was started the ক্ষত্রিয় জাতির বাত্য ক্ষত্রিয় জাতির উন্নতি বিধায়িনী সভা by Rangpur by Jamindar of Shampur called Harmohan Rai Khajanchi. Harmohan Rai
Was he
Khajanchi.
himself a coach
He,
Rajbonshi? The
he
Jamindar?
was also the Rajbonshis
Jamindar,
community,
the
Jamindar, Rajbonshi community, and then he tried to collected the stories and vows, myth, so many
Lokokatha something.
Lokokatha, yes, folklore, yes,
Folklore.
folklore. She collected some such kind of folklores and saw that the Rajbonshis were the Kshatriyas and tried to establish this identity in the society, and at the same time the under the Kshatriya Samiti, which was established in 1910 in Rangpur, with this platform of this Kshatriya society, the Rajbonshis, every census period, they had deputed or give memorandum to the census authorities that they are the Kshatriyas. But from 1911 to 1921, the census authority time to time challenge,
The definition
change,
change.
definition change. Sometimes the Bhatta Kshatriyas, then sometimes they have put the Kshatriyas with Rajbonshis, only Rajbonshis, bracket with the Kshatriyas. And at last, 1931 census report, it was the categorically in the government report, census report, the Rajbonshis were recognized as Kshatriyas.
Kshatriyas.
This is the government point of view.
Government way back in colonial
yes,
period, right?
colonial period, yes. Then, after this, at the same time, Panchanabha was trying to establish this Kshatriya recognition in the society and appeal all the peoples to come here. At the same time, the peoples who belongs to this community, particularly living in the Assam, they did not support Panchanar Burma. Yes.
Whole of the Assam region?
Yes,
What was
those
their
people,
point?
those
What was their point?
their point was that they are the coaches, belongs to the coach families.
Coach family.
Coach families.
So it is different.
It is different from.
Different in case of culturally or
Yes,
anthropologically.
yes. That is why Panchana Brahma separated them, coach and Rajbonshi, as different groups, different kinds of peoples. And the question, the problem is now arises in this context. The the peoples who are belong to the Assam, they are trying to be a tribe, tribe caste,
Okay,
tribe caste, and so that they had submitted many memorandum to the government, and government had established or set up many commissions to the status of the Rajbonshi peoples, Rajbonshi people of the Assam. You know that when Amar Rai Pradhan, the MP of Kuch Bihar, under his presidency, a committee was set up, but this committee investigates the status of the Rajbonshi peoples, but the finding of the committee did not come out yet now. This is the problem is that now the problem is that when Panchanabha was trying to establish the Kshatriyahood, the peoples belongs to the Assam, they counteract every reformation movement, counteract, and they also set up the Kshatriya Phelan Samiti. Kshatriya Phelan Samiti.
Oh, what does it mean?
Kshatriya Phelan Samiti, those Rajbonshi, Panchanabha was trying to reformation through the different conference or etc. etc.
They were denying
They
that.
are denying this practice, and they tried to demolish the Kshatriyaization.
Okay, they are saying that
Yeah.
we are not
We are not the
we are
Kshatriyas.
different.
We are the different. We are the coach. And from this point of view, now this question arises. The peoples of Assam, they are trying to be a tribal peoples, and this question of tribalization. Some of the peoples who are the vested interest in West Bengal, they had tried to merge with the question of the people of Rajbonshis of Assam and people of Rajbonshis in West Bengal. And this is the question has been surrounding among us and raising different kind of peoples. And some of the younger generation, they did not know what is the historical fact.
So,
They did not know the historical fact.
so what is your verdict on that topic?
My verdict is that the course, there is two separate part. The Assam is another question. Whatever way they do
be.
this, maybe tribals or etc. No problem. But the question is now West Bengal people, those who are following the ideology of the Panchanar Burma. Panchanar Burma had taken these policies and tried to establish their status, higher status, and how these people belong to the West Bengal come to degraded themselves. This is the question. My question is that whatever may be the century or centuries before,
History. Yes.
maybe the people who are the same group of peoples.
Okay.
But the people come out from this legacy of these coaches or some lower caste peoples. Now the Rajbonshi are Kshatriyas. And what happened that the people, those who came from the 10th century or 5th century ago, they are settling here. They whatever may be the coaches, but these people are assimilated themselves. Now the
Social
question is,
assimilation.
social assimilation are done.
So now,
There is no such kind of I am coach, I am not the Rajbonshi, I am the coaches. This is not happening today. I think this is the assimilation had done, and now the peoples are those who are claimed we are the coach. They are belong to perfectly. They are belong to the Assam category, and
Assam
that is the question.
Okay, I wanted to touch upon this topic later on, but now let me ask one question. In Indian Constitution, Rajbonshis are bracketed as a SC.
Yes.
Okay, they are
Yes.
SC.
Yes.
And the fight for SC, here comes two new figure. If you allow me to introduce B.R. Ambedkar and this much forgotten our Jogen Mandal, Bodishal Jogen Mandal, who was instrumental in sending Ambedkar to Constituent Assembly. Now the question is this: as I see, there is also a problem. Whenever Rajbonshi is claiming to be Kshatriyas, if someone has to counteract claiming to be Kshatriyas, then someone has to say the constitutional status has given and meted out to it. There's a SC. So because of the Dalithood may be attained for different reasons, because this community, these people belonging to this culture, even overall this region is always been underdeveloped. Kajbia to be said, it's one of the most underdeveloped district in India. Not only so here we have 33% of Rajbonshi people certificated at least, and 52% SC people in the last census. So as a okay, this is now coming to Kshatriyanization. Can you want to equate Kshatriyanization as equal to Sanskritization? Can we equal Kshatriyanization equals to Sanskritization? Any at any angle?
Uh, Khatrinization
And
and
Sanskritization.
Sanskritism.
Because
It is Khatrinization, one of the part of the Sanskritization.
okay, that
Okay.
means you can relate
Yes,
to it.
yes,
We
yes,
can relate
yes,
to it.
yes. And when Panchanan Baba started the Khatrinization movement, he used to introduce some kind of practices that the Rajbangshis had forgotten. Such kind of a Gayatri Mantra he had introduced here. Chandi Puja he has introduced here. And different kind of pujas or the sraddhas after death of anyone of the family. Uh, at that time there was a 1 month Oshucho.
Osho,
But
yes.
Panchanan Burma introduced 12 days
12
also.
days.
This is the Sanskritization process of the Bengalization, Bengali culture.
Bengali culture.
So that means Panchanan Burma wanted to Sanskritize the Rajbongshi society. And so you may relate with this. That means Khatrization is one of the part of the
So
Sanskritization.
as a part of
Is
the
one of the
not
part.
as a whole.
Not as a not as a one of the part. Yes.
Okay, now this Kshatriyanization, if we relate it with the narrative of emancipation of the Dalit people in India, when you were claiming to be Kshatriya, you were getting cut off from the narrative of this Dalit emancipatory movement. So, in this fault line, how you can synthesize? Do you, as a belonging to, as a not a community member or maybe whatever, can you want to destroy the privilege that being cut off from that Dalit emancipatory movement, because in case of fighting on social field, social economical emancipation, the Dalit is a very strong movement, the Dalit movement that are asserting themselves as a stakeholder of this nation. If we say Rajbonshi is fight as a Kshatriya, you were going to attain something which have no economic benefits so far, if I put it. But if the Rajbonshi people fight as a Dalit, because they are given the status of SC people, so they are getting support from all across India. So as in case of social activism, because this community, the Rajbonshi community is downtrodden now, whatsoever happened in past, or was the people Rajbonshi was belonging to Kshatriya or not, but in the present context and situation, socio-econo-political situation, can Rajbonshi community has the luxury to cut them from this Dalit movement that is propping up in all across West Bengal, because the population of SC people in West Bengal is 23, more than 23%.
So this is also pertinent questions, and to answer this question, we have to go ahead.
Okay.
When the Panchanan Burma uh, very cleverly, I mention this very cleverly, he introduced the Rajbonshi society into the list of scheduled caste.
Scheduled caste.
This is the very important questions. Why? Why this? You know that the Rajbonshis were not so much very wealthy persons or very rich person at that time.
Economically poor.
Economically, politically, and also culturally backward. Though they are tried to establish the Khatriyization, and in the government record they became the Khatriyas, 1931. What the regions of Panchal Burma at that time? Panchal Burma and as well as the government, they had prepared a list for the backward communities or depressed class communities. The first one, depressed class communities, and also the Lithuanian Commission. There is also the Lithuanian Commission. Very also important questions. Lithuanian Commission had said that the Rajbonshis were the whatever well organized class, and they wanted to eat the whatever it can বেঙ্গলিতে তারা গাছেরও খেতে চায় আবার তলারও কুড়াতে চায় এরকম কথা বলেছিলেন ইয়া তো পঞ্চানন বর্মার যুক্তি হোয়াট ইজ দ্য রিজনস অফ পঞ্চানন বর্মা পঞ্চানন বর্মা said that if a community only recognized the higher status like Khatriyas, like the Rajbonshis, those who are the economically backward, they are culturally backward, politically backward, and so on. If this community was not introduced with the list of the scheduled caste, the community will be lost more and more. This is the view of Panchana Burma. And with these questions, he was very much vehemently criticized by the community of the Rajbonshi society and as well as the community of the outside the Rajbonshi society. But he was convinced, he successfully convinced the Rajbonshi societies in the Khatriya society. In Khatriya society, there is a conference in the whole night. He convinced the whole night the members of the Khatriya society. If the Rajbonshis were not included in the list of the scheduled caste, the community will be lost. In this sense, this community should be provided economically, culturally, political support. Particularly the economic support should be needed. Without economic support, this community cannot be raised or stand up. That is why he convinced the society, and ultimately the Rajbonshi society was convinced by his argument. And he said that it is not the Dalit who are the untouchables or who are the forbidden to enter the temple. This should be categorically economically backward community, should be the list of the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, scheduled caste particularly. It was not meaning that it was the untouchable group of peoples. It was the socially boycotted people. Those people who belongs to the economically backward, and those need to support the government support. They are with the scheduled caste list, and that is why he was successfully included. And in 1956, in Indian Constitution 381 or 41, the Rajbonshis were enlisted in the scheduled caste in West Bengal. The question you have raised sometime, the people who belongs to West Bengal, they are SC. Those people who belongs to the Assam, they are not, they are MOBC. These people who belongs to the Bihar, they are the other caste, OBC. But in Nepal or Bangladesh, they are the general caste peoples. But that is the question. There is no similarity. Within this government of India, within the government of Indian constitutions, The government had disparity. There is no parity among the Rajbonshi peoples.
So there is no constitutional singularity.
Yes,
of the
singularity,
identity.
yes. There is no constitutional singularity. And that is the problem. And this problem had been raised among the Rajbonshi peoples. And you have raised the questions, how this community shared the lion's share of the Dalit class peoples.
Okay, sir.
So this is not idea. You have seen that some of the people nowadays the practice had been taken. The public had taken the opportunity. Some of the people you know this, the Shen, Omuk Shen, he is scheduled caste. How this Shen is scheduled caste? So why the Rajbonshi were blamed? Rajbonshi were blamed. They are governmentally. Their government had categorized them, recognized them. They are the scheduled caste. So how this is the not the categorized. I think this should not be categorized. This is the general problem.
Okay, sir. I'm
Yes.
stopping you. So your final verdict is that the Rajbonshis are not to be take participation in the Dalit emancipatory
yes,
movement.
yes,
You have
yes.
your own distinct way of doing
Yes,
things,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Okay, let's take a break.